When a narcissist betrays a superempath, the loss is far greater than it appears on the surface. They don't merely lose a person, they forfeit their final opportunity for redemption through authentic love. From a Jungian perspective, a superempath is not simply someone emotionally sensitive or perceptive. They are a soul who has confronted and reconciled their inner darkness. Through the process Carl Jung called shadow integration, they have navigated the hell of blind empathy, been wounded by their own goodness, and emerged with a clarity most cannot comprehend. They understand that compassion without discipline is a self-destructive blade, one that can cut the heart open if wielded without awareness. It is this delicate balance of light and shadow that gives the superempath their unparalleled power, the very power that attracts the narcissist yet terrifies them to their core. Because a superempath no longer loves with innocence, they love with full awareness. A superempath perceives deception effortlessly, without needing words. They can sense the wounds hidden beneath arrogance and choose whether to engage, heal, or simply withdraw. To a narcissist, this becomes an existential threat. They are confronted with someone who cannot be manipulated by guilt, cannot be silenced through withdrawal, and cannot be subdued through emotional games. The superempath has transformed love from an automatic exchange of feelings into a living intelligence, a conscious direction of energy. They withdraw from false souls without guilt. They discern when silence protects and when absence preserves integrity. For the narcissist, witnessing this conscious detachment triggers panic. Their usual arsenal of power, control, and emotional manipulation collapses before someone who no longer requires love to feel whole. Love to a superempath is deliberate, conscious, and free of compromise. Forgiveness becomes a skill, not a surrender. Walking away is an act of clarity, not vengeance. Boundaries, once soft and pliable, are now razor-sharp, yet accompanied by kindness. In this transformation, the superempath becomes the psychological antithesis of the narcissist. One depends on illusions of ego for survival. The other thrives in the awareness of their own soul. One needs reflection to validate existence. The other becomes the reflection. When a narcissist betrays such a person, they are not merely rejecting a partner. They are rejecting the ultimate mirror for their own soul, the final checkpoint of self-realization they will ever encounter. Their illusion of control is shattered, and the chaos they fear most, insignificance, isolation, the collapse of their false power, inevitably begins. The first lesson begins with the understanding that a superempath is the final mirror a narcissist will ever face. In their presence, the narcissist experiences the rare sensation of being truly seen, something they have craved throughout their life but never genuinely received. Yet this recognition is not comforting, it is excruciating. The superempath's gaze penetrates defenses, exposes polished lies, and dissolves carefully constructed narratives. At that moment, the narcissist trembles, not from fear of losing the empath, but from fear of losing the mask that sustains them. Truth to a narcissist is never a gift. It is a severing blade. The superempath reflects not the persona they project, but the wounded, desperate humanity beneath, a reflection they cannot escape and one they instinctively fear. As the narcissist confronts this exposure, love itself becomes a battlefield. Tenderness from the superempath is misinterpreted as threat. Closeness feels suffocating, empathy becomes a weapon of the soul, and the narcissist reacts with denial and aggression. The empath does not seek to change them. They merely reveal what the narcissist abandoned in pursuit of perfection. The reflex is violent yet instinctual. Push away the only person who sees you truly in a futile attempt to preserve the ego. Freedom, they believe, is regained in this betrayal. Yet in reality, they have forfeited the most precious gift, the opportunity to be reflected by genuine light. The emptiness that follows is unfillable by applause, success, or illusion. The second consequence of betrayal is the narcissist fleeing the truth. Their act is not one of triumph, but of fear-driven escape. Love, for them, is never an exchange of souls. It is a stage for maintaining egoic dominance. With a superempath, the script is no longer theirs to write. The empath does not react, plead, or demand. They exist as a mirror with quiet authority, reflecting the narcissist's hidden fears, abandoned self-worth, and long-buried shame. Facing this truth is unbearable. The ego instinctively flees, using betrayal as a defense mechanism to avoid exposure. They rationalize their departure, convincing themselves it is freedom, excitement, or justice. But the underlying motive is always the same: escape from the unmasking glare of conscious love. Every interaction with a superempath exposes the narcissist to the reality they cannot control. Subtle silences, patient observation, and conscious boundaries reveal patterns they spent decades hiding from themselves. Their ego-driven strategies, manipulation, guilt, and emotional coercion, become impotent. For the first time, they confront an intelligence that does not serve their ego but preserves universal balance. The superempath's awareness is a mirror reflecting all their failures, fears, and unresolved darkness. In betraying such a soul, the narcissist believes they have regained autonomy, but they have only accelerated their descent into emptiness, where applause cannot sustain life, and illusions dissolve under the light of conscious reflection. This is the quiet yet catastrophic collapse that follows the final betrayal. But deep inside, the narcissist knows the truth. They did not betray to discover happiness or to pursue new connections. Their betrayal is always a flight from being truly seen, a desperate act to protect the fragile mask that sustains their ego. Yet the irony is that every act of betrayal begins to fracture the mask itself. When the superempath withdraws, the constant noise in their mind, the chatter, rationalizations, and justifications fades. Silence becomes a sentence, an unavoidable mirror. With no one left to reflect their persona, they are forced to confront the emptiness within, a void populated only by the truths they spent a lifetime hiding. What they believed was control slips away. They think betrayal restores dominance, but in reality, it marks the moment they lose all control. The truth they fled begins to seep into every corner of their life. They feel it in their exhaustion, in the inability to connect authentically, in the shallow emptiness of every new interaction. Colors dull, emotions flatten, and warmth disappears. Betrayal severs more than a bond. It severs the very thread linking them to their own humanity. They mistake flight for freedom, when in reality they are plummeting into the quiet abyss of their own self-deception. Betraying a superempath is never a display of strength. It is a silent freefall, a collapse born from fear rather than courage. Reason 3, the illusion of control. A narcissist's sense of power depends entirely on the responses of others. Control is their oxygen. Every conversation, every emotion, every interaction must conform to the script they carefully craft. Love, in their eyes, is never about connection. It is manipulation, a mechanism to extract fuel from others' reactions. But the superempath refuses to play. They do not resist, nor do they submit. They withdraw, observing with serene clarity, and in that silence, the narcissist's entire mechanism of control begins to crack. The scripts fail, the traps collapse, and every accusation, demand, or emotional provocation falls into the empty space they cannot fill. Silence becomes sovereign power, an unassailable mirror to the truth. For the first time, the narcissist faces an unsettling reality. All the dominance they believed they held never truly belonged to them. It existed only in the minds of those they manipulated. When the empath ceases to respond, the very air the ego breathes disappears. Panic sets in. They attempt to manufacture drama, provoke reactions, and stage emotional displays to revive the familiar dynamics of control. but every effort accelerates their exhaustion because silence, unlike people, cannot be commanded. This is the collapse of the narcissist, not at the hands of resistance, but in response to conscious non-participation. Power, they realize too late, was never theirs. It melts like wax under the light of awareness. Reason 4. Real love becomes the mirror they fear most. Narcissists crave love, yet authentic love terrifies them beyond anything else. Real love is not a stage for performance. It is an unflinching mirror for the soul. It exposes what has been hidden, surfaces what has been buried, and reflects humanity stripped of pretension. Superempaths do not love because someone is perfect. They love because they see the truth beneath the facade. And this is exactly what terrifies the narcissist. For a life spent fleeing self-awareness, being genuinely loved is like standing naked before a relentless sun. Shame, emptiness, and long-buried fears erupt, leaving them exposed in ways no manipulation or mask could ever conceal. Love in this light is undeniable, conscious, and inescapable. They see the shadow lurking behind the charm, the hidden fractures beneath every polished gesture. They love with hearts that have traversed darkness, hearts tempered by pain and refined by awareness. Their love does not idealize or gloss over flaws. It illuminates, offering clarity rather than comfort. For a superempath, to love is to see clearly, to perceive truth without illusions, and still choose to remain. But for a narcissist, being truly seen is unbearable. In the moment, the empath observes without judgment, without pleading, without distortion. The narcissist feels stripped bare, exposed to a depth of scrutiny they are incapable of controlling. Compassion becomes a mirror that reflects every flaw, every insecurity, and every long-buried fear. This love is unlike the admiration they have long relied upon. It does not flatter, it does not placate. It says, "I see who you are in all your imperfection, and I am still here." For a soul that has never learned to love itself, this is not received as grace. It is interpreted as judgment, a verdict that challenges the very foundation of their ego. As the superempath's love shines, the narcissist's defenses crack. Every construct built to shield against emptiness, the charm, the image, the performance, crumbles in the face of something they cannot control. Panic replaces pride as the raw emptiness inside, long ignored, rises with terrifying clarity. They fail to recognize the opportunity before them, redemption, the chance to confront truth and be freed. Instead, lacking understanding, they revert to the only pattern they know, destruction. They twist love into a game, a test, a battlefield for power. Words become weapons, emotional traps are laid, withdrawal is calculated to regain control. But the tighter they grip, the more their hold slips. Love cannot survive strategy, nor endure where manipulation reigns. Once the empath discerns the illusion, they withdraw, not because love has ended, but because true love cannot exist among lies. Only then does the narcissist realize what has truly been lost. Not a person, but the irreplaceable experience of being seen and loved despite imperfection. In the silent hours, memory becomes a relentless echo. Not the memory of shared moments or physical closeness, but the memory of being acknowledged and embraced authentically. Real love does not vanish. It embeds itself, leaving an indelible mark like a scratch on glass that catches the light. They may attempt to replace it, distract themselves with new faces, or drown in superficial connections, yet no one restores the feeling of reality that the superempath once created. False love is loud, performative, and transient. True love is quiet, persistent, and enduring. They may run, evade, or rationalize, but they cannot escape the scar left by someone who saw the real them and stayed. The tragedy is not merely that they lost a person. It is that they lost their capacity to receive real love ever again. Once betrayed, the soul becomes clouded, incapable of recognizing authenticity in others. Countless faces may cross their path, yet all reflect the emptiness they carry. Every attempt to love is haunted by the memory of one who once saw the good in them and left when they no longer deserved it. The punishment is not imposed externally, it is internal, quiet, relentless. The narcissist wanders through shallow connections, trying to reconstruct a feeling they rejected, each effort deepening the wound. Laughter, denial, and distraction may mask the pain, but in the soul's deepest chambers, a whisper remains. You were loved for real, and you destroyed it. A superempath's love is grace, not because it forgives, but because it reveals. It does not demand submission or obedience. It forces the soul to confront itself. And for the narcissist who never dared face the mirror of truth, this revelation is ultimately a lifelong sentence. They may believe they have escaped the connection, but what they truly escaped was their last chance at authenticity. Once real love is known and betrayed, no illusion can ever replicate it. In the darkest recesses of their heart, the empath's gaze persists, an unjudging, unwavering witness to what they failed to preserve. It is the quietest, most enduring punishment, to be haunted forever by the love they lacked the courage to honor. Reason 5. When psychological karma begins its quiet work. Narcissists are masters of illusion, believing they can evade consequence through charm, narrative control, or manipulation. They assume that by shaping perception, truth can be contained, diluted, or ignored. But a superempath triggers a different form of justice, one that originates within the psyche itself, a force Jung described as psychic karma. Repressed darkness, every lie, every act of manipulation, begins demanding acknowledgement. The empath does not seek revenge, does not smear, does not perform any spectacle of judgment. They simply leave. And in their departure, silence becomes the mirror through which the universe reflects every betrayal, every violation, back to the narcissist's own consciousness. In that invisible reckoning, consequences manifest internally. Sleep becomes restless, pride mutates into anxiety, and every attempt at rationalization fails. They are confronted with the emotional echo of every deception, manipulation, and act of cruelty, not externally, but within the self. There is no spectacle, no audience, only the weight of awareness and the realization that the soul cannot be persuaded by excuses. The punishment is intimate, relentless, inescapable. No one can observe this collapse from the outside. It occurs in sleepless nights, in the hollow sense of meaninglessness amidst a crowd, in moments of reflection when they stare into a mirror and no longer recognize the person gazing back. This is the retribution of the psyche, the cold wind of truth cutting through every layer of disguise. The superempath does not need to act, for truth has its own inexorable force. When the empath withdraws, the natural balance shifts, and the universe begins reclaiming what was taken. Everything the narcissist stole, admiration, trust, emotional energy, light, begins to fail them, like batteries slowly running dry. They search desperately for new sources, but all becomes bland, tasteless, like drinking water with no flavor. The more they grasp, the further they fall into the labyrinth of their own mind. This is the spiral of cause and effect set in motion the moment they betrayed a genuine soul. The energy of truth never disappears. It merely transforms, moving from external illumination into quiet, internal erosion, subtly dismantling the very mechanisms of control they once relied upon. At first, the narcissist believes it is temporary fatigue, an isolated inconvenience. But slowly, they notice the world losing its color, relationships growing hollow, and laughter no longer carrying warmth. They fail to understand that this is the echo of psychological karma returning. The isolation they created, the coldness they spread, is now reflected back to them. And by the time awareness dawns, it is already too late. Psychic karma does not strike abruptly. It erodes gradually, keeping them conscious enough to witness each layer of illusion falling away. This is the most subtle punishment. No one acts against them, yet everything inside slowly loses meaning. Meanwhile, the empath continues to evolve, stepping into a freer, more lucid life, leaving the narcissist trapped in paradox. They may still possess everything they once equated with power: money, influence, attention, but none of it brings true life. Karma does not come from outside. It arises from the symmetry of the soul. Betray the light, and the darkness within rises to restore balance. Reason 6 emerges. The memory of the one they betrayed becomes their inner voice. They believe cutting contact and distracting themselves will erase all traces. But some souls leave marks not in ordinary memory, but deep within consciousness. The Superempath's presence is internalized, inseparable from their psyche. In moments of solitude, the narcissist hears its quiet echo, not accusatory, not demanding, but present. A subtle conscience that cannot be silenced or escaped. It whispers, "You know what is real." They try to drown this voice in distractions, in new pleasures, new faces. Yet silence cannot be buried. Each attempt to forget only sharpens the memory, not as images, but as sensations. The clarity of the gaze, the calm presence, the understanding that was never performed. The shame of betrayal resonates like a pulse, impossible to escape. No one else's reaction matters. This inner mirror persists. Lies ignite it, manipulation awakens it. The narcissist cannot escape because their soul has been awakened, encountering echoes of the empath. Their mannerisms, phrases, even songs, triggers involuntary memory. Confidence fades, replaced by quiet sadness, as if a fragment of themselves departed with the empath. It is no longer obsession, but unavoidable understanding. They recognize the truth, though they wish they could deny it. This realization brings a unique torment. The empath does not resent, does not shame, does not chase, yet their absence imprints forever. The narcissist lives with dual voices, the ego claiming all is fine and the inner truth whispering of irreparable loss. This internal war unfolds daily, slowly wearing them down. No external force punishes them. The collapse is internal, subtle, and relentless. The one they treated as a pawn now exists as a sacred guiding presence inside their consciousness, reminding them forever of what they destroyed. Reason 7 emerges. Even the victories they once prized lose meaning. Without the empath to witness, to truly see them, every achievement, every triumph, every accolade feels hollow, like applause echoing in an empty theater. The gaze that once gave life has vanished. A narcissist may attempt to rebuild the stages, to seduce admiration, or accumulate power, but nothing fills the void left by authentic witnessing. Wealth, beauty, and fame are only reflections, not connection. They may entertain new relationships, but none replicate the depth of the old bond. Every gesture, smile, or promise feels like a role already played countless times. True acknowledgement, the ability to be loved for the self beneath the performance, is lost forever. And with that, the narcissist becomes painfully aware. The world may admire, but no one sees. The echo of the superempath remains, quiet, persistent, a constant reminder that real love cannot be replaced, only remembered. In this endless repetition, the narcissist begins to feel drained, as though they are an actor performing a play long after the only real audience member has left. Surrounded by laughter at a party in the middle of the crowd, they suddenly realize the profound emptiness of their existence. No one can reach them because they destroyed the one person who ever touched their soul. Doubt creeps in. Do these people love me, or only the character I play? Do they even know how to love? In a life built entirely on pretense, the answer is terrifying. They are left with the chilling awareness that no one loves them authentically, and that they themselves have forgotten how. They continue to chase power, success, attention, and allure, believing these can fill the void. Yet the more they accumulate, the more hollow it feels. Power without witness, triumph without connection, admiration without understanding. These are illusions. The one who could see them, truly see them, is gone. Every achievement becomes compensation for a loss that cannot be repaid. the loss of soul-level reflection. Slowly, the spotlight dims, the applause fades, and the meaning of fame evaporates. They stand center stage, yet feel invisible. This is the collapse born of absence, the realization that having everything means nothing if no one remains to witness, to recognize, to reflect back the human being behind the mask. Reason 8 emerges, the realization that no one believes their story anymore. Narcissists survive on narrative control, crafting the world to fit their version of events. They bend memories, manipulate emotions, and orchestrate the lives of those around them to reinforce the fiction they live in. But when the empath leaves, the energy that once sustained those narratives disappears. Without that counterweight, contradictions begin to surface. Charm looks hollow, pity breeds suspicion, and the crowd slowly steps out of the roles they once played in the Narcissist's drama. The story that once convinced everyone now collapses. The narcissist is left exposed, but not by anyone else. Their own words betray them. Lies that once worked now echo as truth, unmasking the self. Reason 9, when they are forgotten, and this is what terrifies them most. A narcissist thrives on being remembered. Existence is validated through attention, praise, conflict, even hatred. They do not need love, they need recognition. But when the empath departs with calm indifference, their absence is absolute. Silence becomes the negation of existence itself. Social media, inquiries, messages, indirect attempts, nothing restores presence. Invisibility sets in, a form of torment unlike any other. Without the witness that once confirmed their being, they face the ultimate emptiness. Life continues, but meaning has departed. To be forgotten is not simply losing another. It is losing the reference point for self, the validation of existence, leaving them trapped within a mask that no one sees, not even themselves. Reason 10 reveals the final collapse. The realization that the one they deemed weak is the one who survived, while they remain ensnared in ruins of their own making. Narcissists equate strength with dominance, sensitivity with weakness. They once viewed the empath with contempt, convinced that kindness could not endure. But time, the quietest arbiter of justice, overturns their illusions. The empath, once fragile, rises steady and free, while the narcissist is trapped in the swamp of their own fabrication. Triumph is no longer measured in conquest, but in self-mastery, and the empath's recovery shatters the narcissist's foundational beliefs. Power, control, attention. They realize none of it ever equaled resilience, awareness, or strength of soul. The contrast between their suffering and the empath's serenity destroys them. They once believed the world revolved around their influence, that no one could live without their presence. Yet the empath demonstrates detachment, self-awareness, and disciplined compassion, revealing the highest form of strength. No one needs to act. The narcissist self-destructs upon witnessing their own inadequacy, unable to reclaim what they once dismissed. Beneath every gesture of arrogance, every strategy, every relationship designed to manipulate, lies nameless shame. Deep within, they know the one they considered weak was never defeated. And in that truth, the narcissist faces the ultimate collapse, the final lesson, and the quietest, most absolute punishment, losing to the very soul they believed they could control. The realization that strikes the narcissist is profound and inescapable. The one they hurt most is the one who has transcended their own darkness. While they remain trapped, clinging to the ego they built so carefully, the empath moves forward effortlessly, untouched by the games that once held them captive. Revenge is unnecessary. Evolution itself is the final verdict. Every step the empath takes, every achievement, every quiet moment of inner peace is proof that true love cannot be destroyed. It only transforms and grows stronger. The narcissist finally sees the truth. They didn't just lose a person. They lost the chance to grow, to become something beyond themselves, to evolve beyond the limitations of fear, shame, and illusion. In the story they believe they controlled, the outcome is inverted. The empath, once underestimated and dismissed, emerges as the survivor, the master of their own soul. They dared to love fully, to feel deeply, to endure pain without losing themselves, and to heal completely. In contrast, the narcissist, so obsessed with domination and pretense, finds themselves abandoned in the ruins of ego and deception. All their strategies, manipulations, and temporary triumphs crumble against the simple power of awareness, presence, and conscious love. They witness what they could never attain: authenticity, freedom, and the unshakable light of a soul that refuses to be broken.